imagine the devastation of losing both of your parents as a young child? You are left alone with no one to care for you, no one to feed and clothe you, and no one to protect you. Millions of frightened children have been abandoned after watching their parents and extended family members die slow, agonizing deaths from AIDS. Who will care for these children? Who will protect them? Who will teach them and love them? AIDS is the largest public health problem the world has ever faced. Of the 42 million people living with HIV/AIDS, 70% are in sub-Saharan Africa.
As a matter of fact, I don't think there's a family in Uganda that has not either been affected or infected with HIV.
To the children, it's double traumatizing because they lose their elder people who would have given them counsel and help, and they become the heads of families. That's what we have here. We have child-headed families.
Jane can barely remember her life before AIDS. Her mother and father had both died from the disease by the time she was 5 years old. Her grandfather is the only person left to care for her, but he too has AIDS. Her biggest fear is what will happen when her grandfather dies. She told us that she will be left all alone and will lose her home. Jane's story is even more heartbreaking because she too is HIV positive. The day after my visit to Jane's home, her grandfather died. Her biggest fear had now become a harsh reality.
The kids look at this as if they're abandoned, rejected, and maybe it is a curse in the family, unless somebody comes up openly and explain what happened.
A single cemetery I visited holds 300 funerals each weekend. Most of the deaths are attributed to HIV/AIDS. I walked up and down rows and read the tombstones. It was sobering to read the dates and see how many young lives were cut short. Fresh graves were everywhere. The children of AIDS live in the shadow of death.
They see HIV as a thief, as a killer, as a destroyer, something that cannot ever be explained to them because you can't tell them the source of HIV. All they see is people withering, people losing energy and dying.
A recent Barna report shows that evangelical Christians are one of the least likely groups to help AIDS victims in Africa, and that only 3% said that they would help a Christian organization minister to an AIDS orphan. Only 3%. Because of stigma, racial prejudice, indifference, many Christians remain relatively apathetic to the AIDS pandemic. It is almost impossible to believe. Where is our compassion? The church, more than anyone, has the responsibility to share the hope and love of Jesus Christ.
They keep on asking themselves, why are we orphans? Why are we not like other kids? Why do people refer to us as orphans? So that gives you an opportunity as a social worker and as a preacher of the gospel to explain clearly to them. They love to hear the truth. Why did my father die? Why did my mother die?
Pity sees and even feels, but compassion touches the need. Compassion requires action. Our vision is to impact 1 million children whose lives have been affected by AIDS. I can see an entire generation of children being taught the importance of abstinence before marriage and faithfulness in marriage. AIDS can be stopped, one child at a time. We are committed to a proven, effective strategy to provide help and hope for children whose extended families simply cannot care for them. We want to establish villages of hope throughout sub-Saharan Africa. Each village of hope will care for as many as 48 orphaned or abandoned children in 4 small family-like homes of hope. God is calling us to be voices of hope to a hurting world. Thousands of orphans and needy children are waiting for sponsors. You can provide food and clothing and medicine and a Christian education for a child whose life has been affected by AIDS. We are not just providing help for today, but we are investing in the future. Future Christian leaders and future teachers and nurses and businessmen and church planters and pastors. It's an investment that will be multiplied a generation from now. So I'm asking you to please partner with us. We can give hope to children whose lives have been devastated because of this terrible disease. Their future is dependent upon our compassion, our action. Africa has literally broken my heart. There are millions of children just like these whose lives have been affected by AIDS and millions who have been orphaned because of HIV/AIDS. But in the midst of all this despair, there's hope. Will you be a voice of hope? Together we can make a difference and give hope to the millions of children affected by AIDS. The children of hope.